It's about 11:30 and I'm now back in my room at Siem Reap. What I did was I paid for the room for an entire 10 days, even though I knew I was going to be going away for 2 nights, because it's inexpensive and I wanted to be sure I had the same room and didn't have to think about keeping a room, and it would allow me to keep my bag here, which I could have done downstairs, but I ended up with a different room and I just didn't want to risk all of that. Anyway, notice also that I keep my bag on a cable. I attach it to something that they'll have to drag away with it, unless they can cut the cable, which they could if they really wanted to, but probably they're not going to be having that much advanced planning. See a parade of ants. These little critters are so small that you normally don't see them until something causes you to look at them. And I lifted up the waste paper basket, which was absolutely filthy on the bottom, and when I first got here and found a giant herd of them living under that. So I cleaned that, and now they're going into the wall there. This is my favorite restaurant in Siem Reap. Actually, it's my only restaurant, and for one principal reason. One, I love the chicken curry, and it's predictable. Number 2, it's got air conditioning. Number 3, from the very first night, it's the only place that didn't have very many Europeans, or if there are Americans, they're Americans. Rarely is there a couple of Europeans. More likely there's a European with a Thai girl. So this is my chicken yellow curry, and notice that now this is a little bit thinner than usually I have here, although I don't really care. I don't like it really thick because then it doesn't go easily into the rice, but a little thicker than that would be nice, but I don't really care. What I love is lots of vegetables, and I love this chicken. Now oftentimes the chef at night gives me those pieces of a chicken in which you have to negotiate in your mouth with your tongue around the bones to peel off in your mouth the scraps of chicken that are on the bone, and then discard the bone in here. This is perfect. This epitomizes the way I like to eat lunch or dinner. A wonderful dinner, number 1, or lunch. My soda water, or Perrier if they have that, if they don't. And then reading something good. This happens to be a life of George Sand, the French author. And this particular part is her relationship with Frédéric Chopin, which is very fascinating, as is this entire book. I'm at the War Museum now, and at the entrance they have these really beautiful flowers. What's interesting is that the tree appears to have the pink and the white, unless that's an extra vine or something that's mixed in there. I can't tell for sure. But it's very pretty, isn't it? What I'm going to see here is just a collection of leftover armament from the Vietnam era. American cannon here, or whatever they call this gun. It's a T-54 Russian tank. Notice all the welding that's been taking place. I don't know if that's after the fact or not. Sure, heavy pieces of equipment. This is a DCA 23, whatever that is, and I don't know who makes it or who made it. Yeah, the technology and energy and material that goes into killing people. These are the remains of Russian armored vehicles. It's interesting to imagine being the other guys, seeing if you can shoot into these holes. Well, they're not. They're probably, looks like there's glass in there, so I don't know if you could shoot through or not. I wonder if the engine was in the back. T-54. Another one. Okay. An array of the different shells that were found afterward. It's interesting to imagine where today you could see the engines that were in these vehicles. They're probably in some of the old looking trucks that you see. If there was a way to keep them alive and working, they would do that. Russian rocket launcher used in Cambodia in 1979, apparently during the Khmer Rouge era, and destroyed by the Siem Reap province. American 105 millimeter. Front end looks like it took some serious damage. You hope if it was Khmer Rouge that they were all killed beautifully, but slowly. There's a Russian artillery. There's a Russian 130 millimeter artillery. I'm not sure what this was for. It looks like maybe that rotated down into a bridge or something. I don't know. You think of all the effort that goes in to the machinery of the warmongers. The wailing of the do-gooders and the bleeding hearts just becomes more pathetic. My theory of war, if it were left up to me, is that you fight aggression or emerging aggression first, fast, and with the most overwhelming, annihilating force that you can amass. More shells. Here are hand grenades, mines. That's the claymore, I think. Anti-tank. The United Nations had any guts at all, any worth at all, any credibility, in my opinion. It wouldn't have taken George Bush to get rid of Saddam Hussein. And it shouldn't take anybody else than them to get rid of the Myanmar despots, any of the ones that remain in the world today. The only problem is, in my opinion, man is inherently basically evil and will always seek more wealth, more power, if they can get it. I'm guessing those are handheld rocket launchers. Seem pretty heavy, but maybe they're just, no, they are. See the handles on them. This stuff is incredibly anticlimactic compared to what you can easily see in any book or on the internet or wherever. Like machine guns of some sort there. Chinese artillery. We apparently don't even have the ability to vilify these people so badly that the next generation has a fear of that kind of a legacy. But the scum that perpetuate these kind of regimes only see what they can get today. Russian anti-aircraft weapon. I think the guidebook said this was a Russian helicopter. Wonder if it was the kind that got shot down in Afghanistan once we started supplying the required missiles in Charlie's War. Senator Charlie Wilson, I think. This clamshell door is opened up. Yeah, I've just come from the War Museum, which is to the left, and come down this road that's runs through the center from the left to the right, and I'm at the lower right-hand corner of the blob of green right near the river. I'm on the left side there. So I'm going to walk back along that road and circumvent this whole, go around this whole park and through it, and then I'll walk down along the river back to the old market area where I have my place. And on the walk back, I think when I get to the big brown glob, you see where there's a wat. I may look at the wat, but more likely I'm going to go to the butterfly garden across the river. Yeah, I'm looking back up the road that I just came down from the War Museum. I'm just going to pan around so you can see that this is a very pretty large park area. Unlike the dirty, congested, tourist-impacted, shop-impacted old market area where I am at. And it's fine for its purposes, but this helps to redeem Siem Reap, in my opinion. And to live up in this area would be nice if you had a reason to live here in the first place. A little local Chinese temple is part of this complex. Revered white elephant. I think these trees are filled with fruit bats or something of that nature. Looks like leaves until you have to focus on the sound, and then you realize that there's so much up there. They're all a little raised area in the park. Probably a fountain when they choose to let it operate, if it will. This is a pretty walkway. Again, redeeming Siem Reap, the walkway alongside the river. Again, redeeming Siem Reap. Big alligator. Don't know what this little fellow's job is, what the bag is for. Answers that question, he's begging, at least when he sees a tourist. So one stretch of the river in Siem Reap looks pretty, relatively speaking. Another pretty stretch. It's a pretty little spot alongside the river and near some very nice hotels, it looks like. And I'm suspecting the City River Hotel is the one that sponsors this little riverside refuge, if you will. And another one for this hotel. and a very lovely place. View from the balcony. The old market is over there.